back to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling, guys. Today we are talking about some very serious news about WWE Crown Jewel coming up this Saturday, and we also will be giving a preview of New Japan Pro Wrestling's New Japan Pro Wrestling's Battle Autumn show, also on the same day. And yes, we will be talking about the controversy of Karl Anderson and how the resolution has come about, and I'll give some of my own thoughts about that in the editorial section. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys that YouTube loves its algorithm. So if you hit that like button, what that like button does is let other fans of WWE, New Japan, and pro wrestling in general know about this video and get some information and, you know, chime in the comment box below. So go ahead and do that. You might as well hit the notification bell and the subscription button while you're down there as well. Now let's talk about some news and crazy things going on, not only coming up this weekend, but also some interesting cross forbidden door things happening in the world of wrestling this week. And actually, let's start with that. So the Great Muta, one of the most legendary wrestlers in the history of pro wrestling, who I don't think ever actually wrestled in a WWE ring. I might be wrong about that. I don't think he ever did, but that has not prevented a current WWE star to perform with Muta on New Year's Day. And, you know, his last match, I believe that's his last match, the Great Muta will be facing Shinsuke Nakamura, who is a WWE wrestler, a former New Japan Pro Wrestling superstar. In fact, he made his name in New Japan Pro Wrestling, at a Pro Wrestling Noah show that may also be featuring AEW star Sting. Yes, we are in the pro wrestling multiverse full on now. And a lot of people have been speculating about this. I'm going to talk about this in a different video, whether or not WWE is kind of softly declaring war on New Japan Pro Wrestling, possibly. It seems like the partnerships are kind of aligned now. WWE is maybe aligning with Noah. That's not official yet. But of course, we know that AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling are aligned with each other, but lots of interesting things going on. Hiroshi Tanahashi's also throwing his hat in the ring. He was at a Noah show, but Muta showed up at a New Japan show to spray mist in the face of the Great Okan, who's a New Japan wrestler. It is, I don't know what's going on, but it's crazy, and I like it. So yeah, we're gonna be following up on that stuff, and there are some other things too, a little bit more serious to worry about this weekend, even though yes, there's still some pro wrestling multiverse issues with this Saturday shows coming up on November 5th, which is going to be a busy day. But on a serious front, the Saudi Arabian government and the U.S. government have made it well known that there is a serious potential threat of a terrorist attack on Saudi Arabia from Iran. This is following a lot of uprisings that have been happening in Iran, a lot of protesting that's been going on over there because there was a young lady who did not wear her head wrapping, and then that started a whole bunch of stuff. This is not a news and politics channel, but I'm just saying that for a reference because of something editorial I'm going to say in a second. But that has put the WWE Crown Jewel show, I don't want to say, the best way to say that, it's put it in jeopardy. Obviously, if there is a threat of a terrorist attack and you're going to have tens of thousands of people in a arena at a show, that show is definitely probably going to be considered a big target. This is I'm fairly concerned about this because, you know, here in the States, you know, we go back to think about WrestleMania 7 and there was a bomb threat at WrestleMania 7, which everybody kind of debunked over the years and didn't take seriously. And there's been other issues about, you know, some wrestling shows possibly being in trouble because of unrest in the world. Well, the Middle East is not anything you want to take. It's not like America. You know, things happen here quite often. Not to say anything bad about the Middle East, but I would take terrorist threats and threats of violence a little bit more serious than the WrestleMania 7 bomb scare. You know, you know, WWE right now says the show is going to go on. Of course they do. They always do. They will not stop a show for anything. They will not stop a show if somebody gets beheaded by the people that are sponsoring the show. They're not going to stop the show if one of their own wrestlers dies in the ring. They're not going to stop the show. So I don't think the WWE fans should worry about it. even the WWE sweaties, who are different from WWE fans, the WWE sweaties whose main concern with all of this is not the potential death of thousands of people, but whether or not they're going to be able to watch the show on Peacock, which this is why I'm referencing how serious the situation is, and what the real thing you should really be concerned about is the lives of thousands of people possibly being on the line. I'm not even sure if this is going to affect the attendance for the show either. That is another possibility. Maybe some people might not want to go to this show if there is a serious threat that there might be a terrorist attack, and that the Crown Jewel show might be a target. This is not something to play around with. It's something that's concerning me very much. And now, hopefully, nothing happens. That's my serious hope. All wrestling BS aside, that is the main thing for the safety of the people there, just the people in Saudi Arabia, period, the people who might want to attend this show, and of course, obviously, all the production, the staff, and the wrestlers for WWE. I seriously hope that this becomes a nothing burger and that their show can go on without a hitch. But when all of these reports came out, and I looked a little bit outside of the wrestling stuff into like the actual news reports, a lot of things that are coming in across the wires, a lot of news reports coming out of Saudi Arabia, a lot of people who are tweeting about, you know, potential threats. It sounds like it could be a serious thing. So that's where my thoughts are. I just hope if they're going to go on with the show, I just hope the show goes on and nobody gets hurt. That's just a very serious thing that I think we should all worry about. It doesn't matter if you're a WWE fan or an AEW fan or whatever. You should really be concerned about the safety of everybody involved. So I'm just going to say, I wish them luck. If WWE is going to go on with the show, hopefully everybody is safe. Now on to the more petty stuff about wrestling rivalry nonsense. So one of the big things that people know about coming up this Saturday is the big controversy over Karl Anderson, who is the IWGP Never Openweight Championship, which for those of you who don't know, that's like the third tier singles heavyweight championship in New Japan, behind the US title, I would say right now, and obviously the World Heavyweight Championship. They put the title on Anderson, kind of a thing to keep him around. Obviously, it didn't work. I have made my complaints clear several times about New Japan putting titles on non-contracted stars, especially non-contracted Gaijin stars, who have made it very clear that money is the #1 priority, and if they get offered more money at something, they will screw you over, which is, I thought might have been a work. I still think there's a possibility this might be a work, but with President Obari of New Japan Pro Wrestling, only quote about this being that he was furious with the fact that they have now replaced Karl Anderson officially on the show. We'll talk about that in a second when we go through the card. In that match against Hikuleo, the kind of juvenile antics going. I'm sorry, Anderson and Gallows kind of juvenile the way they carried on about this. I'll talk about this a little bit more detail in another video, but that seems to be resolved somewhat. I don't know what's going on with the Never Openweight Championship. Anderson has said he's not going to return it, so we are in another Brock Lesnar situation. Actually, this is kind of worse than the Brock Lesnar situation from several years ago with New Japan. So I hope New Japan learns his lesson. Sorry to say this, but you guys have got stop relying so much on Gaijin talent. I'm saying that, you know, it's nothing wrong with pushing Gaijin talent, but if you don't have these guys under contract and something written that if you're going to put a title on them, and these titles, to New Japan, titles are very important. If you're going to put a title on somebody and not have them on a contract and not have a guarantee that they're going to show up at shows, I wouldn't do it anymore. They've gotten burned by this several times in the past, and hopefully this will be the last time. I will say, again, if this is not a work, it is kind of shady, but we're going to, again, I'll talk about that in a different video, probably after we go through the shows, and I can see whether or not what Anderson does. If he sends the belt back, then, you know, whatever. If he doesn't, whatever. But outside of that controversy, we do have the show coming up this weekend. I will give a little rundown of the card, because it actually is this time of the year. I think this show is, it's usually called Power Struggle, I believe. I can't keep track of them. It's the November show. New Japan changes the name of some of its shows over the years. Sometimes it's called one thing one year and it's called a different thing the other year. But their big November show this year on November 5th will be featuring the IWGP Junior Tag Team Championships on the line, as Titan, who is the shockingly new member of Los Ingobernables de Japón, is teaming with Bushi to go for the championships against the United Empire's TJP and Francesco Akira, or Akira, however you pronounce it. That should be a high energy match to start, because Titan is a very high energy competitor, and so is Bushi. And it's kind of nice to see Bushi finally doing something somewhere outside of taking pins in multi-man tag matches. Speaking of multi-man tag matches, we do have the United Empire, who are going to be in full force on this night. They are taking on members of Chaos and the regular New Japan roster, as they will be facing Alex Zane, David Finlay, Toru Yano, and Hiroshi Tanahashi, who, yeah, we saw him show up in Noah, and he's asking for a match with the Great Muta, hopefully in New Japan. I would look forward more to that than a match with the Great Okan. No offense to the Great Okan, but there we are. Then we have what is listed as a special singles match, not for the Never Openweight Championship. Hikuleo will be taking on Yujiro Takahashi. As I said, it seems that it's official that they have just accepted that Karl Anderson will not be at this show, even though he was booked for the show before the Crown Jewel thing, before he went back to WWE. It is what it is. There is a semifinal matches for the NJPW World Television Championship. In that tournament, Ren Narita has made it all the way to the finals against Sonata. If you have not seen Ren Narita's performance in this tournament, this dude he has come on better than most of the young lions that have come off of Excursion. He is kind of the second coming of Katsuyori Shibata, his trainer. I'm all for that. Him against Sonata should be a really solid match, so I'm looking forward to that one. And in the other match, semifinal match, Evil will be taking on Zack Sabre Jr., and this is a bit of a revenge match because Zack Sabre Jr. completely embarrassed Evil in the House of Torture during the G1 tournament. One of my favorite short matches during the G1. Can Evil get his win back in this one? I mean, for me, I have Zack Sabre Jr. As soon as they announce his TV championship, this type of title is just made for somebody like Zack Sabre Jr. 15-minute time limit. He can hold a guy in a submission and run out the time limit and keep this championship for God knows how long. So I am hoping for a Ren Narita Zack Sabre Jr. final, but given the fact that Evil might be getting his revenge win here, it could wind up with Evil. We don't know. We'll see at the end of the show. We also have an incredible tag match. Hiromu Takahashi, El Desperado, Master Wato, and Taiji Ishimori. Yes, you read this right. These four guys are going to be participating in something where the tag partners will be decided on November the 4th, which is a reason for you to watch the Road to show. So however these four guys are going to be construed as a team is going to happen on November the 4th, and then on the 5th, we'll see who winds up on whose side. So you could potentially have Hiromu teaming up with Desperado. You can have Wato teaming up with Desperado. You can have Wato teaming up with Ishimori. You can have Ishimori teaming up with Hiromu. This is a very interesting way to get into this match. New Japan trying to get a little bit more creative with their booking, so I'm all for that. That sounds pretty cool. We got another special tag match, Tama Tonga and Kazuchika Okada, a very interesting tag team taking on Kenta and IWGP World Champion Jay White, as White and Okada are continuing their march towards Wrestle Kingdom. We have a very, very special match here, which I thought was going to be something else, but it turns out that they've changed this up. The IWGP Tag Team Championships will be defended. The champions, FTR, yes, you heard me right, FTR will finally be defending the IWGP Tag Team Championships against the Great Okan and Jeff Cobb. Now again, what was interesting about this show, and another reason why I think maybe why Karl Anderson wasn't on the show, because if Anderson was on the show, you could potentially have had a New Japan show with AEW and a WWE contracted talent on it, which is crazy. And again, we're going to get that in Pro Wrestling Noah apparently coming up. Again, this Pro Wrestling Multiverse thing, I'm all for it. It's just crazy though. But Cobb and the Great Okan of the United Empire will be challenging FTR in their first appearance in New Japan and their first defense, or actually technically the second title defense, because they did defend it at the World Quest show. But their first defense on Japanese soil of the IWGP Tag Team Championships. Definitely looking forward to that one. And in the main event, a match that I am highly looking forward to. Number one, because how tremendous the match was at the G1 Climax in the semifinals and the playoffs, but also because of what we could potentially see happen after the match. Will Ospreay will be defending the IWGP US Championship against Tetsuya Naito. Now, the reason I'm talking about what's going to happen after the match potentially, no matter whether or not, because this is kind of a 50-50 with me, Ospreay could lose this match or lose the title, or he could retain the title. Depends on what they're going to do. But Naito and Ospreay are fabulous competitors. They had a great match at the G1. One of them, a match of the year contender in my books. Will Ospreay and Tetsuya Naito is going to be a fantastic match regardless. But the big question is, will we see a kind of a repeat from several years ago when Kenny Omega was defending the US Championship at the same time of the year, and Chris Jericho, we all remember that, shocked the entire world by making an appearance, which was unheard of at the time, and New Japan Pro Wrestling to challenge Omega for a Wrestle Kingdom match. Possibly might have history repeating itself here with Kenny Omega showing up either on video, maybe he might even be in Japan, who knows, to challenge Will Ospreay for the very same US Championship at Wrestle Kingdom coming up in January. That would be poetic and amazing, and I hope that it happens. This match, this show, Battle Autumn, coming up on this Saturday from New Japan Pro Wrestling should be absolutely amazing. Again, FTR's first official match in Japan, defending the IWGP Tag Team Championships in a New Japan ring. We've got this crazy tag match where they're doing kind of a wild card thing with the tag teams. Ospreay and Naito, if this match is anything like the G1 match, like I said, it should be a match of the year contender, and then the possible fallout afterwards. But I want to know what you guys think about these shows. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. Also let me know what you guys think about what's going on with the Crown Jewel situation. Do you think this is a serious threat? Do you think WWE should continue on with the show, or should they have canceled it? And let me know what you think about the card. We didn't even talk about that. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks that Logan Paul is going to beat Roman Reigns, despite the fact that his brother did beat Anderson Silva. I'm even going to talk about that right now. In that boxing match last weekend, do you think Logan Paul has, I mean, he has a puncher's chance, of course, but this is pro wrestling. I have to say that it would be this generation's version of David Arquette, even though, yes, Logan Paul is a light years better wrestler than David Arquette was. I think the perception would still be the same. I don't think they're even considering putting a title on Logan Paul, but stranger things have happened in the world of pro wrestling. We're seeing it right now. But let me know what you guys think about all this stuff. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. And I will see you guys here for more news, rumors, and commentary in this crazy world of pro wrestling and sports entertainment. I'm telling you right now, it is a great time to be a wrestling fan. We are being treated to a lot of crazy stuff that I never thought we'd see. So let me know what you guys think about it. And I will see you guys next time here on the Rant Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.